Good afternoon. I call to order the October 14th, 2025 regular meeting of the Minneapolis Heritage Preservation Commission. For the record, my name is Murray Bjornberg, and I serve as chair of the commission. Just a reminder to silence your cell phones and other electronic devices and to speak clearly into the microphone when speaking at the dais or giving testimony. Would the clerk please call the roll so we may verify the presence of a quorum?
Commissioner Alexander.
Present.
Booty.
Present.
Hare.
Present.
Corrado.
Present.
Malblum is absent. Rodriguez.
Present.
Thomas.
Present.
Wallace.
Present.
Vice Chair Maston.
Present.
Chair Bjornberg.
Present.
There are 9 members present.
Let the record reflect that we do have quorum. Our first order of business is to adopt the agenda for this meeting. We will work from the agendas that are available by the clerk, and I will go through the agenda and sort out which items will be discussed and which items will be put on the consent agenda to be approved as recommended by staff without further discussion. Item number 4 is 3120 3rd Avenue South, Ward 8. This application is for a certificate of appropriateness and will be on consent unless someone wants to speak in opposition to or modify the staff recommendation. So the proposed agenda, I'm going to have to modify that. I'm going to say it one more time and then you can speak up. The consent agenda will include the following items. Item number 4, 3120 3rd Avenue South, Ward 8. Is there opposition from commissioners to the staff recommendation? Is there anyone in the public that wishes to speak in opposition to this item? Okay, I will pull that item from the consent agenda for discussion. So there will be a staff presentation and then public comment, and then commissioners will discuss. So item number 4, 3120 3rd Avenue South, Ward 8 will now be discussed. Commissioners, may I have a motion to approve the proposed agenda?
Wallace so moves.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Is there a second?
Corrado seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Corrado. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? The agenda is approved. Our next order of business will be to approve the minutes from our September 30th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Maston so moves.
Thank you, Commissioner Maston. Is there a second?
Thomas seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say nay. Any abstentions, including commissioners who were absent?
Booty abstains.
Thank you, Commissioner Booty. The minutes are approved. Give me 1 minute. Before I open the hearing to public comments, let me summarize the process for conducting the public hearing. First, we will take each item on the agenda in order. Planning staff will present its report and commissioners may ask questions of staff. Then I will open the public hearing and we will hear from the applicant and commissioners may ask questions of the applicant. After that, we will invite public comment. If you wish to speak, we need you to do 2 things. Please be sure to sign up on the sheet over by the clerk. If you haven't done this already, you can do so afterwards. When you come up to testify, you must state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments specific to the application before us today. If you have materials to hand out, please give them to our committee clerk so that they may be distributed to the commission and entered into the record. After public comments are complete, I will close the hearing and commissioners will deliberate and act upon the application before us. Our first item is item number 4, 3120 3rd Avenue South, Ward 8. The staff report is presented by Aaron Kay.
Good afternoon, Chair Bjornberg and Commissioners. My name is Erin Kay, and I'm a Senior City Planner in the Historic Preservation subsection in the Department of Community Planning and Economic Development, or CPED. I'm here today to present a Certificate of Appropriateness application for the property located at 3120 3rd Avenue South in the Healy Block Historic District. Here's an aerial view of the subject property outlined in teal with the Historic District outlined in green. Here are current photos of the house. It was built in 1890 by T.P. Healy. Healy designed many of the Queen Anne houses in this district between 1886 and 1898. The subject property is a contributing resource to this historic district. The applicant is proposing to remove the non-historic asbestos siding, which was added in 1941 according to permit records. The original woodlap siding remains underneath the asbestos siding. The applicant believes that the wood siding is not in good condition and would like to remove it. The subject property also experienced hail damage, which has led to this project, and the applicant is proposing to replace it with LP Smart Side engineered wood siding, as shown here on this slide. They chose this material due to cost, its resemblance to wood, and because of the curved bay on the south elevation, they felt that the LP was a better fit to be able to side that area. The new LP siding is 7 inches wide, whereas the asbestos siding is 10 inches wide, and the original wood siding is 4 inches wide. So it's halfway between what's there currently and what was there originally. Additionally, the applicant is proposing in-kind replacements for the non-historic aluminum trim around the windows, the non-historic aluminum gutters and downspouts, and the non-historic aluminum soffits and fascia. In staff's review of the design guidelines, the project is in compliance except for the siding. The design guidelines note the following. A, new or replacement siding shall match the original. Aluminum, vinyl, or particle board siding shall not be permitted. B, siding width shall match the original. And C, all siding and trim which is intact under contemporary siding shall not be removed. Rotted siding shall be replaced. As the guidelines indicate, particle board siding is not permitted, and the intact siding under the contemporary siding shall not be removed unless it's rotted. If replacement is needed, the replacement siding shall match the original. In order to comply with the design guidelines and the Secretary of the Interior standards for rehabilitation, staff is recommending approval with several conditions, which I will explain. The first condition, non-historic asbestos siding shall be removed. Staff support the removal of non-historic siding as proposed and with this condition. Condition number 2, the original wood siding shall be retained. Our rationale is that staff would like to retain historic materials when present. Condition number 3, the condition of the wood siding under the current asbestos cladding shall be documented through photos and submitted to preservation staff ahead of continuing the project. Our rationale is that only a portion of the original wood siding is visible where a piece of asbestos siding is missing, so the current condition of the wood siding is unknown. Condition number 4, intact siding shall be retained and repaired where needed, while the extent of replacement shall be determined in collaboration with preservation staff. Deteriorated wood siding shall be replaced in kind with wood siding matching the dimensions and appearance of the original siding. Our rationale is that our approach is to first repair before replacing. It is possible that much of the wood siding may be in good condition and only selective replacement is needed. If replacement is needed, then the best approach in staff's opinion is to replace in kind with wood siding of the same width. Condition number 5, upon removal of the non-historic aluminum trim, the applicant shall check for historic trim underneath and provide photo documentation to preservation staff prior to replacement. If historic trim is present and deteriorated, it shall be replaced in kind. Our rationale is that, we don't know if there is any historic trim remaining. If no historic trim remains, then in-kind replacement of non-historic aluminum trim as proposed is appropriate. So essentially, staff is proposing to work with the applicant as the project gets underway to ensure that each step of the project follows the guidelines and preservation standards. It is our understanding that the applicant does agree with those conditions, but they are here and can also answer your questions and provide additional information. Since the staff report was published, staff have received 3 public comments, which I understand are available online, and then we do have 1 paper copy here in the room. All 3 of those comments are in support of retaining original elements of the house, and they also cite other examples in the neighborhood where asbestos siding was installed over wood siding, and how that was treated at those other properties. In conclusion, staff recommend that the Heritage Preservation Commission approve the certificate of appropriateness to replace the siding on the house at the property located at 3120 3rd Avenue South in the Healy Black Historic District, subject to the 5 conditions as written in the staff report and meeting agenda, which I just read through. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to stay for questions, and the applicant is also here and would available for questions.
Thank you for that report. Commissioners, are there any questions for staff? Okay. Next, if the applicant would like to come and speak to the microphone, if so, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record.
Jared Sense, Sella Roofing. I agree with everything that she just said. Good enough?
Can you please state an address for the record?
4100 Excelsior Boulevard, St. Louis Park.
Thank you. Commissioners, are there any questions for the applicant? Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. There is a question. Commissioner Thomas.
Hi, I just
Yes.
wanted to understand the proposal of that LP site, that engineered hardwood siding.
So the original intent was to remove the asbestos, and assuming that the wood underneath of there was not in good condition, that this would be the best practice to try and resemble what was underneath of there. Without knowing the condition of the wood, we're agreeing to remove the asbestos and examine the wood that's underneath of there. And assuming that's in good condition, we can go ahead and do the repair first, assuming that.
And replacement would be similar wood when needed, not?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So we'd use whatever type of materials that's underneath there,
Perfect.
typically cedar.
Thank you. Just wanted to get clarification on that. Thanks.
Yeah. Yep.
Any other questions from commissioners? Okay, thank you. If there are members of the public who wish to speak for or against this application, please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Anders Christensen. I live at 4347 Garfield Avenue South, and along with my partner, Madeline Douglas. Madeline Douglas just bought 3145 Second Avenue South around the corner. It was a Healy house built in 1889, the year before this house. We began removing the asbestos siding in March and April, and we found that probably 90% of the fabric of the house was there. What happens is that anything that protrudes gets eliminated before they put the asbestos siding. So various bandings go away, but the shingles, the soffits, everything was there. And so it essentially became a paint job for us. And so anyway, we sure hope that Sella has the same experience that we do. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Are there any other? Please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Madeline Douglas, and I'm the owner of 3145 Second Avenue South in the historic residential Healy District. It's interesting to hear the applicant's proposal. From what I had read, the proposal was to remove the asbestos, strip the house of all original wood siding and historic elements. However, your planner did not recommend that, but it's a surprise to hear Sella do a 180 on their proposal. I can advocate for several options regarding the exterior of 3123rd. The first would be to retain the asbestos siding and leave it. It's been that way since 1941. The second proposal is to retain the asbestos siding and paint it. Don Bliley, who is present and I assume would like to speak, is his neighbor to the immediate south. George Lundgren has retained his asbestos siding except for the front, and he's painted the house. It looks fine. Both options would be the most cost-effective options for the owner. He could forego Sella and the insurance company, both of whom are only interested in profit if he selected either of those options, plus everything underneath the siding would be protected. The third option would be, and this is primarily in agreement with what Aaron has recommended, is remove the asbestos siding, paint the house, retaining all original siding and historic details, temporarily patching holes. Any rotted siding could be assessed and a decision made to replace it with 100% natural wood siding that would match what is there. If it's redwood, that might be a little bit harder. Healy used redwood extensively. And any repairs or replacements left to future owner. As far as this option, there's only one person in this room who is qualified to do that work, and it's not Sella, it's Anders Christensen. A normal, regular contractor who builds new houses is not qualified to restore a historic house. They don't know how to do it. They're going to do it whatever they do destructively on the cheap and out of complete 100% ignorance. However, the third option is what I hope you will approve, with one exception. I'm also opposed to leaving or replacing aluminum siding around the soffit, fascia, and windows. I prefer wood siding. It should be exposed. We should be able to see it. It shouldn't be hidden under aluminum siding. And any process using LP Smart Side or any other engineered, chemically created faux siding would destroy the historic character of 3123rd. It would set a precedent, a negative precedent that would endanger the Healy Historic District, the guidelines, and make the house and potentially the entire district available, no longer eligible to be listed as local or national historic district. And to complete my comments, I wanted to mention I did send an extensive series of comments with photos, including some background on the history of the Healy District and Anders Christensen. I wanted to conclude by mentioning in the 1970s, Norm Lindbergh and Ron Domanski. Ron was one of the original HPC commissioners in 1972. They worked with newly hired state architect Charlie Nelson to have their Bennett McBride Healy house, which they bought from Miss Esther McBride. It's stunningly original. They have that house listed, it was the first one, as a local landmark. It's got interior and exterior designation. And then they worked with Charlie to get the house on the National Register. And in 1976, our bicentennial year, that house was open for 2 months to the public, and I had the register of those visits. Everybody came, even outside of Minnesota. It was a civic treasure. It was a house to be proud of. And following that, Marjorie Hawley, Peter Hawley, and the Healy Block Club worked through drugs, violence, vacant houses, fires. In the 1980s and 1990s, they sacrificed a lot, but they had the full support of people like Mayor Sharon Sells Belton and Don Frazier to do the work they did, and they worked very hard to get the Healy Residential Historic District locally and nationally designated. Next year, it'll be 2026. It'll be the 250th anniversary of the founding of the United States. I encourage you to vote to preserve the historic character of 3123rd for that anniversary and for the future of the Healy Residential Historic District. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Are there any others who wish to speak on this application? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Commissioners, let's discuss. Are there any comments on the proposed application? Commissioner Wallace.
I mean, to me, this, excuse me, the staff recommendation adheres with the guidelines, and if the applicant agrees to that, I see this as a positive outcome. So I'm for it with the conditions.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Any other comments? I know, Commissioner Hare.
I also agree with the staff recommendations.
Thank you. Any other comments or anyone wanting to make a motion? Commissioner Hare.
I would make a motion that the Heritage Preservation Commission approve the certificate of appropriateness to replace the siding on the house at the property located at 3120 3rd Avenue South in the Healy Block Historic District, subject to the following conditions that are written. Do I have to read all the conditions, or? I don't think so. Okay.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Wallace seconds.
Thank you, Commissioner Wallace. Any further discussion? Seeing none, would the clerk call the roll?
Commissioner Alexander.
Aye.
Booty.
Aye.
Hare.
Aye.
Corrado.
Aye.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Wallace.
Aye.
Vice Chair Maston.
Aye.
Chair Bjornberg.
Aye.
There are 9 ayes.
Thank you. That motion passes. And that concludes our public hearing items. Do staff have any announcements?
Thank you, Chair Bumberg. Yes, I do. Andrea Burke. I'm the supervisor for the Historic Preservation Team in CPED. It's a lot of dates to give you about what the next 2 months look like for the end of the year. So I will let you know it will come out soon, but the October 28th HPC meeting will be canceled. We don't have any notice projects, so a little makeup for having 3 meetings in the month of September. Enjoy your time off. But that will come out. We also have our special meeting / retreat coming up on November 6th, which is a Thursday, which I have emailed everybody about. I think I gave until the end of this week for ideas. Forgive me. I also led a few leaders for we were probably planning to just talk about the ordinance and, becoming acquainted with it, how to use it, how it's going to affect you, what are some of the things that you will be looking at and how it's different than from what you look at now, just to try to tee up what's coming, provided it does come, because nothing is final. And then, so please get me any ideas of anything in particular that's burning on your brain that you would be very interested in discussing. But just as a reminder, that's on a Thursday. It's from 3 to 6 p.m. It is in the Public Service Building on the 3rd floor in our typical large 300A room. It is open to the public as normal. We do notice for it. Everything else will be as usual except for time and place. So if you are unable, though, please just let me know, and I'll move forward with that. And then also scheduling, we have our annual Monday meeting for HPC coming up in November on November 10th. That is due to the Veterans Day holiday. So that is our only Monday meeting for the year. That just means agendas, everything will probably be about a day off, but I'll try to send you another reminder here come the end of the month, since it is always, I would say, jarring for everybody involved, since we're so used to Tuesday evening meetings. But that is our only meeting in November. And then we only have one other scheduled meeting in December for the rest of the year, and that is on December 2nd. So just wanted to get those. Of course, you all have the calendar, and the calendar is public, but just to put a pin in your minds for what the schedule looks like coming up. We are preparing our annual CLG report, stands for Certified Local Government. We put this together every year for the Minnesota State Historic Preservation Office. And we track our numbers for the state fiscal year, which runs October 1st to September 30th. So once we have that together and we have submitted it off, we'll probably give just a discussion item as an overview to HPC to receive and file, to just give you some of the statistics of what we have been reviewing over the last year. And then we have received applications for the vacant seat that is coming up for HPC, and so we will be going through those and scheduling interviews. I will connect with you, Chair Bloomberg, about that process as normal, and that concludes my updates. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any updates from commissioners? Okay, with that, we have completed all items on the agenda for this meeting. There being no other business to come before this meeting and without objection, I will declare the meeting adjourned. The next regular meeting of the HBC is currently October 28th, 2025. Thank you.